All right, thank you, Steve. First of all, I want to welcome Professor Robinson's class here today. Appreciate y'all being here. Always welcome, and hope you enjoy yourself as well. Um, Saturday is our Salute the Troops game. That's always one of the highlights of the season for me. I remember last year, I think it was the cold, rainy day against Vanderbilt, and just seeing those guys in the stadium, men and women in the stadium, and the fun they were having really put things in perspective last year during that game, and does every year during this game. So grateful for them, all of the military branches, the men and women, the sacrifices they make for their service to our country. So really proud and honored to be able to recognize them this Saturday as well. Have a good Wofford team coming in here as well. Coach Watson has done a nice job there in his time. The improvements they made from last season to this season are evident. Maybe not so by the record, but looking at it, they've played 5 games against top 25 FCS teams, and we know how talented. I know how talented a lot of those teams are and how good those teams are at that level. And they've played 5 games against top 25 teams for sure. They're going to be certainly excited about playing us. This is their last game of the season, so they'll let it all hang out and not hold anything back. Effort-wise, schematically, we know that. It's a proud program with a ton of tradition. Obviously, 37 players on their team from the state of South Carolina, so we know how juiced up they'll be for this week as well. And they've got good players. They've got 5 guys on their team that have been the players of the week at different times throughout the season in the Southern Conference also. So they have a lot of respect for their program and the way they play. They've got some good players. There's no question about it, and we know they'll get their. We will get their very best this Saturday as well. It always starts with us, and there's a lot for us to be better at. As great as the last month has been, and as good as Saturday night was, there's a lot for us to be better at in all 3 phases, and that's what I talked to the team about this morning in our team meeting. Is we need to get better this week. There's no question about it. But we're excited about getting back to work. I had a good practice this morning and good spirits and energy. And I said this on Saturday night, then I forgot to do it in the teleconference. So I'm definitely going to do it right now. We need to make sure we honor the seniors the right way on Saturday. So, again, I know I said it Saturday night after the game in the post-game press conference, Gamecock Walk needs to be electric because for so many of those seniors that will be getting honored on Saturday, that is the last Gamecock Walk they'll ever get to do. I guess unless they come back here as a coach one day, but as a player, it'll be their last Gamecock Walk. And then we will honor them right after pregame warm-up, so right around 3:30-ish, somewhere in there. Is when we'll do our senior day recognition. And I would just ask all of our fans to shut the tailgates down early. There's plenty of opportunities in the future, God willing, to tailgate. This will be the last opportunity and the only opportunity to recognize a really special group of seniors. And I would love nothing more than for Williams-Brice Stadium to be absolutely packed at 3:30, 30 minutes before kickoff, so we can give those seniors that'll be playing their last game in Williams-Brice Stadium the recognition with their families on the field and the ovation that they deserve. So there's other opportunities to tailgate this season as well. If they're not going to the Clemson game next week and tailgating, they can come to whatever the postseason game is after Clemson. They can tailgate at that. But you got all day to tailgate. So get there early, tailgate, but shut that thing down, and please get in the stadium by 3:30 so we can really make that senior day recognition special for these guys, because this is a really, 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 really special group of seniors that we're honoring. Guys that either came in January as a transfer and have made an impact in their time here. Guys that were a part of the signing class when I got hired that had never met me, like TJ Sanders or who's Juju, I guess, is a better example. TJ was a part of that class. He's technically not a senior, but Juju is a senior, and honoring him, or the guys that were here when I got here, like, go on and on and on, but Tonka and Boogie and Vershawn and Kai and God dang, that's twice I've done that. Alex and whatnot, Hunter. There's just a bunch of really, really good players that we need to honor. So please help me in doing that. Gamecock Nation, I would appreciate it. Questions?
Shane, a little off topic, but a couple weeks ago, Kai made semifinalist for Ray Guy Award again. Flashing back to 2 years ago, could you just kind of go back through the reaction of what you found out when he wasn't a finalist, and are you hoping for it this year?
I don't want to make the committee mad, but I was flabbergasted 2 years ago because there wasn't, and no disrespect to the punters that were the finalists, but in my mind, there wasn't a better punter in the country than Kai 2 years ago. You think about what he did throughout the season. You think about what he did in the Clemson game for us 2 years ago. And then for him to be able to have the year that he's having right now, I didn't think there was a better punter in the country 2 years ago, and I don't think there's a better punter in the country this year as well. And hopefully he'll end up being a finalist for that for sure. How'd the boys' weekend go?
Oh, they loved it.
Everybody survived?
Survival, I guess, is one thing, but they made it back to Tennessee okay. That's
Perfect.
all. I can't confirm
Gotcha.
that part.
Nobody got arrested. Nobody.
Thankfully, yes.
Okay.
That was a legitimate concern.
Yes, I was well aware.
But in that game, I mean, Nick Harbor had a big touchdown, another big catch down the sideline. That's a guy, obviously, with a lot of expectation coming into not just the season, but coming to Carolina. What's it been like seeing kind of the development that he's had to where now he's able to give you moments like that and be a more reliable part of the offense?
Yeah, so proud of him. The guy works his butt off, and he's so appreciative for everything that he gets. I mean, I've told you guys, I think the story where after the A&M game last season, he came in my office on Sunday night and thanked me for the opportunity to play so many plays. And when he caught a touchdown pass against Furman, thanking me for giving him an opportunity, I think it was against Furman last year, to play. And he's just appreciative for everything. And that's still ongoing now with all he's done. I mean, he's still making those phone calls, sending those text messages or whatnot. That's why he brought the actual game ball that we gave him into the post-game press conference the other night. It wasn't for show. It was for it really meant a lot to him to get that ball. And it's pretty cool to see. And when I say that he works really, really hard, he works really, really hard. I mean, he's in here on his off day, and he's out there with Coach Furry. It's important to him. So it's really cool to see somebody that's a great young man, first of all, work really, really hard and have the success that he's had. And like I told him, he's just scratching the surface of how good he can be, but he's just really developed. And even the play the other night, I mean, on the long pass on the sideline, I don't know if he would have made that last year. I mean, it was a good release off the line of scrimmage. It was a good route. It was great ball skills to track the ball and make the catch, and then the threat that he poses to defenses. I mean, he got the holding penalty because the guy literally grabbed the back of his jersey and was just hanging on because Nick was running past him. So he's worked really, really hard on the details of being a receiver, and credit Coach Furry for pouring into him like he has as well.
I know it's something the program did when you were an assistant. First time in your tenure you've had an FCS or a non-SEC game the week before Clemson. That's something you want to do in future seasons? Is that just the way the dates worked out? What do you think about having this game the week before Clemson?
Yeah, I didn't think about that. 21 was Auburn, 22 was Tennessee, and 23 was Kentucky, wasn't it? I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. But it is different. They don't ask me, first of all. So, I mean, I guess the schedules, I'm assuming the 24 date for the Wofford game was probably set before I even got hired. I guess Clemson's doing the same thing because they play Citadel this week, right? So I guess they're doing the same thing. I really hadn't thought about it. I know it's coach speak to say, well, we just play them whenever they tell us to play them, and we'll be there and all that as well, which is true. I mean, we'll play them whenever we're supposed to be there as far as the week before that Clemson game. But I know it's, now that you mentioned now, I mean, more than I think about it, it's probably, it seems like most of the teams in the SEC do have that kind of game, or not kind of game, but a non-conference game before the rivalry game. It seems like Alabama, always does in the past. I guess they don't this week. I think they play Oklahoma, but okay, gotcha. So I don't know. I know I'm bouncing around. I haven't really given you an answer, but there's merit to both of them. And obviously we've had success with playing a big non-conference game before Clemson, and we've last year, or I guess I guess we've won all 3 games before the Clemson game, right? Knock on wood. So I don't know. How's that? What do you think about that, class? You loving the great answers I'm giving today? Let me think about it more, Alan. I'll talk to Coach Tanner about it.
Shane, of all the impressive plays that Lenore had Saturday, is there one that really stands out or impressed you the most?
Probably one that nobody's really talking about is when we had the called quarterback run in the fourth quarter over there where he kind of ran out of bounds near our sideline. I think it was maybe a 1st and 10 play. And it was just a design quarterback run. I think it was after Missouri had just taken the lead, maybe. And it was a play where he ran for a 1st down, but he broke a couple tackles, and it really got that drive going in a lot of ways. So people talk about the passes, and those were great, and there's some really good ones. But that's one that stands out to me, Rick, because it's a good, tough run downhill. He broke some tackles, and his extra effort of breaking tackles and straining allowed us to get a 1st down and really kind of get the drive going. And I think that was the drive that right after that we hit – well, I think that was the drive that we took the lead for the next to last time. I think it was that same drive. But it was the 4th quarter, and it was a design quarterback run.
Shane, you've got a perspective as a player and a coach. How difficult is it for players who say, we're locked in against an opponent that we're supposed to beat to stay locked in? I mean, is there something that makes that transition easier? And do you talk to your leadership about, hey, let's not lose that intensity?
Yeah, we talked about it as a team this morning that, one, you better have a respect for Wofford for one, and have yourself ready to play because they can present you some problems. I mean, you just watch special teams. They've got a fake punt against Chattanooga. They got a fake field goal against Richmond. They did a fake field goal this year against Western Carolina. On a kickoff return, they faked like a throwback pass against, I think it was Mercer. They did a surprise onside kickoff in the middle of the game against VMI. So you better have yourself ready to go and have a respect for them, first of all, because they can attack you in special teams, and next thing you know, you're in a battle because you're not where your mind's not where it needs to be. But for us, and we always, talk about this, it really is about us, and the message that I've given them that we've talked about is we need to get better this week. And going back to the beginning of the month when we talked about they remember November, not just what you do in the SEC games in November. They remember November, and we're still writing this story in the month of November, and we need to get better. And we've been a team that has always gotten better as the season has gone on, and that doesn't mean that you just get better, then you play a non-SEC team and you stay the same. You better get better this week as well. And I just go by. Are they on time for meetings? Is there a sense of urgency? Is the practice still spirited and intense? And all the answers to that today were yes. So hopefully we can continue to have a really good week and lead into Saturday.
Obviously, there's still games after this weekend and senior day, but do you feel at all responsible to kind of facilitate those conversations that seniors may have about just emotions of it being their last game in Willie B and kind of coming to the tail end of their careers? And in that same note, you said the senior class is really special. Do you at all think that you'll find yourself emotional on the field during the presentations on Saturday?
As far as the seniors and their emotion, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it that, we talk about it each year that they'll be the emotions of that, and then you've really got to put an end to that. You got to go play football, because they'll come out of the tunnel, they'll see their families, they'll be recognized, and then they got to go back in and put their helmets on and then get ready to come right back out and play football. So that's always something you worry about for sure. But just really continue to emphasize to them that how you make your senior day really special is to go win the football game. And you do that by, understanding that it's going to be different because it is your last time. But when the game starts, it's all about football as well. And yeah, absolutely. I know I will. I'm like that. I'm crying during movies and things like that as well. So, but I will. I mean, it kind of started yesterday. I had to film a video with our social media team. Just, I wasn't even talking about the seniors individually in that video, but just kind of talking about a group, and caught myself a couple times just thinking about them and got a little, emotional. But it's just because of how much gratitude I have for them, Lulu, and that, there's so many of them that have I wasn't. Every year I say this, but this is the group that's been here the longest that I wasn't the coach they came to play for. And this is year 4 with me. And in today's time, it's so easy to just pack up and go somewhere else. And man, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I didn't come play for this idiot, and move elsewhere and go to another team. And easily could have done that last season when we were 5-7. And they all just doubled down on, no, we believe in what we're doing. We believe in this program. We want to leave this place a better place than what it was record-wise in 2023. And I'm just so happy for them that they're having the success in 2024 that they came back for, which is pretty cool.
I've been working on a story with Nick Immonwori, and I'm curious, what has he meant to this program, and just, his passion, him living 15 minutes away and deciding to stay. You were talking about he's not a senior, but he could have, left if he wanted, but he stayed, and just the impact. He's leading this defense, 71 tackles, 4 interceptions, 4 pick sixes. How much of a staple has he been to this program on the defensive side? Huge.
And going back to yours, I don't not every movie, but there's just certain ones that'll get me. Okay, so I'm not like a big softie that I'm box like Kleenex every time I watch a movie. There's just certain ones that still get me, no matter how many times you see it. Nick's been awesome. He really has. It seems like yesterday that he was just out here at our summer camp, and we kind of knew about him, but we didn't really know about him. And then he came out here going into his senior year at Irmo, and you realize what a special talent he is. And then to come out in his very first game as a Gamecock, we don't even know if he's going to play against Georgia State that year. And then he ended up coming in the game and playing really well. And then I remember we go out to Arkansas the next week, and I still vividly remember there's a one-on-one tackle, him and KJ Jefferson, the Arkansas quarterback at the time, and Nick gets this big quarterback down as a true freshman, and there's just play after play, just some individual great effort plays. And then for it to be a guy from the state of South Carolina, it's awesome. I mean, I tell recruits all the time when I was here before, and it's true, when we really got it rolling, we were doing it with players from the state of South Carolina, and him and DQ coming in that class together, and what they've done has been really, really cool. And certainly, Nick's a guy that after last season, with the kind of player he is, there were plenty of places he could have gone if he wanted to. And, he wanted to leave a legacy here and be a guy that, finish what you started in the state of South Carolina, and be a guy that's remembered here forever, and not a guy that just came and played here for a year or two and then bounced and went to some other school for whatever reason. He believes in this place. He loves, this community, and it's really cool to see him having the success that he's having as well, and the career he's had here that will allow him to go play, football for a long time after Carolina as well.
With the defensive improvement this year, I think it's easy for people on the outside to just look at the newcomers, D. Knight and Kyle Kennard and whoever. But you guys have a ton of guys that came back, and seniors and veterans. How much of the improvement this year is the fact that there's a bunch of 4th, 5th, 6th year guys who decided to come back and really are leading a kind of a veteran defense?
Yeah, that's huge, and it's something that I think really gets overlooked when they talk about our defense, or really even our team in a lot of ways. And that's why, what's the best way to put it? That's why I kind of shook my head at some of the preseason projections about us, in that, look, I get it. We were 5-7. We lost our starting quarterback, and we lost our best offensive player in Xavier Leggett. And everybody's like, well, they stunk last year. They were 5-7. Quarterback's gone. Receiver's gone. They're not going to be very good. Well, look who we got coming back. And I know Lenora Sellers was an unknown, but wasn't like we had a bunch of slaps that were returning. I mean, we had a good team coming back this year, whether it be for Sean Lee at center or Josh Simon at tight end, and then you talk about a lot of the receivers that were coming back and whatnot as well. But then you look at the defense. Like, we played really good defense down the stretch last year, and that whole group returned outside of Marcellus Dial and Jordan Strawn and two linebackers left, but we brought in some really good players to replace those guys. But the core, if you count us having 5 starters in the secondary, counting our nickel, 4 of our 5 starters in the secondary were back, and our top 3 defensive tackles were back. And in my mind, with Bam and Debo, our top 2 linebackers were back. So we brought a lot back, but we knew we needed to improve the pass rush. There's no question about it, i.e. Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart. You see what's happened. And I told TJ and Tonka and Boogie when they were deciding whether or not to come back this year, look, y'all had to play too many plays last year because we didn't have the depth at D-tackle. We're going to get some depth around you. And we've done that with, the guys that we've brought in there as well, whether it be Jules or Kel or Rondo or Nick Barrett as well. So it's huge. When I meet with those TV crews on Fridays, that's one thing I try and mention to them because they all bring up those guys, but the new ones. But we brought back some really good players too that have embraced those new guys, and it's been a perfect mix of talented freshmen, older returners, and older transfers that have come in.
Kind of a series of roster management type questions for next year, when I assume you guys will have to be at 105 at some point. Is that something you guys have to be at in January, or is it when the season starts? How does that?
My understanding is when the season starts, and it's a challenge right now just trying to get clarity on a lot of things, Hale, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now in college football, as you can imagine, when it comes to roster management. But in regards to the final roster number, my understanding is it's before the season starts in 2025, not spring practice, not summer, not even preseason camp. But again, I could walk back in my office and have a call from Coach Tanner, and he tells me that's changed.
So how do you go about trying to plan for that as best you can?
Great question. I wish I had a great answer for you. You really just try and project. It's hard. You know who you have on your roster right now. You know who's committed to sign with you in a couple weeks. You know who you're still recruiting that's not committed that might sign with you. You know that you're going to lose some guys that will leave early for the NFL draft probably. I hope we don't, but you'll probably lose some guys that decide to transfer for whatever reason, transfer guys that you bring in. So you're doing a lot of projecting, and it's tough because when we walked out of SEC meetings in May down in Destin as head coaches, there wasn't real clarity on, is it going to be you're capped at 85 players, period? Are you capped at 85 scholarships with 20 walk-ons? Is it going to be you've got 95 players and they're all on scholarship? There was a lot of balls in the air when you were walking out of there, and I think a lot of coaches kind of thought, you're going to have a roster limit of around 105, and you're going to try and stay around 85, but if you want to go up to 105, great. You walked out of Destin having a couple possibilities, and then it came down, okay, you're at a hard 85 scholarships with 20 walk-ons or whatnot. So it's that part's just been tough, just having to adjust in some ways in regards to your overall scholarship number as well, which, I'm sure a lot of coaches across the country didn't even think they were going to have to be capped at 85, that it might be more than that, if that makes sense.
So, sorry.
You're good.
Are you planning for 105?
I'm planning for 105 roster spots and 85 scholarship spots is what I'm planning for, but who knows?
On the note of senior,
sorry.
You're good. On the note of the seniors and stuff, what were the challenges that came with trying to retain any seniors that maybe weren't sure if they were coming back or not? And then on the same note, trying to find the right guys, older guys in the portal that you wanted to bring in.
Yeah, I think challenges were just I don't know how much of a challenge it was. It was just making sure these guys understanding that we're not far away. And I know there was that social media video that Justin King and them put together that it has me in the weight room after the day after our season-ending banquet on that Monday morning, and I tell the team that, last night stunk, our banquet, because we weren't getting ready for postseason, but that we weren't that far off. And I truly meant that. Like, we really weren't. And telling our players, and there's a player that left our program after last season, and one of the reasons he told me that we were leaving is he said, I don't think we're going to be very good and we don't have a quarterback. Like, he told me that. And I said, well, I disagree. We got us a quarterback. You've seen, our quarterbacks at practice, and we're going to be good around him. And that player said, I don't know, Coach, it ain't looking too good. Well, he's somewhere else right now, and there's a lot of guys that are here and are glad they're here as well. So I think that it wasn't so much of a challenge, Jack. It was just making sure our guys understood, one, we're not that far off. 2, leaving a legacy here. And 3, here's the plan that I have in place to get it right. Going back to, what we said about getting some depth on the defensive line and adding some pass rushers. We knew we needed to do that. We knew we had a talented freshman class coming in. We needed to add depth to the quarterback room outside of Lenoris and those guys. So that would just, it wasn't like me having to convince guys, please stay, please stay, please stay. It was, you always want to do what's best for the young man. If they felt it was best to move on, then would support them and wish them well. But it was, goes also this NFL feedback. Here's the feedback you've gotten from the NFL that recommends you come back for another year, because here's where you would most likely be projected to be drafted if you did leave. And if you do come back, here's the plan to, 1, make sure that we can maximize your abilities on the field, and then ours as a team also. And then there's an academic element part of it also, being able to come back and graduate and things like that as well. So it wasn't so much of a convincing. It was more just clarity and showing them, here's why it's going to be different in 24. And listening to them also, not that there was a bunch of complaints about last season, but me listening to them and hearing from them, what their thoughts were in regards to 23 and how to be better.
What is the last movie that made you cry?
It's a good question.
No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to.
I don't care. It's been a while since I've seen one, to be honest with you, but I don't know. I don't need to go down that rabbit hole. That'll be after the season, John.
Justin King's team, though, their creative videos, they put out some emotional ones. They put out some that
probably one of those videos to answer your question. Any of those that they've done would be one for sure. Go ahead.
They also put out some videos where they kind of troll the other opponent after your team wins. What are a couple of the favorite videos that he's produced of for you guys over the last few years?
Ooh. I've said it before, John, and usually with Justin and his team, like, I don't even ask questions. He just tells me what to do, and I do it. Like the one the other night, getting the trophy out of the little storage thing that was out on the field after I finished up with you guys and did the radio show with Todd. I walked out to do the TV show, and he said, hey, before we do the TV show, I need you to do something. Okay, I said, what's up? He goes, I just need you to walk by this, bend down, pick up the trophy, and walk away. I'm like, okay, cool. So I did it, and then he put that out as well. So there's not a lot of questions that I ask him. I just make sure to ask him not to embarrass me. Favorites, I think all of them, everything he's done are really, really good. He's so talented. His whole team is, and they work really, really hard. Back there in the back. I mean, I walk down that hallway going back to Jody's office every day when I meet with Jody about special teams, and I hear him and his team. They're always in there. They're all in there working. They're always talking about ideas and things like that. It's a really, really talented group of people back in there. I'd say the one video that still comes up all the time is obviously the Soulja Boy video from before Media Days a couple years ago. That one always comes up. And I mean, I was at a high school football game back in October during the off week, and I was standing on the sidelines, and the PA announcer, the high school that I was at in Alabama, started playing Soulja Boy. And the mom of the recruit that I was there to see texted me, and she said, I had him play that for you. That's for you as well, which I thought was pretty cool. And then the Office spoof, that one still comes up everywhere. I mean, but it's not so much like recruits. I don't know how many recruits watch The Office, but from just random people. I may be out to dinner at an airport or something, and some random 60-year-old person will come up to me and tell me they saw that. They're not a football fan, but they saw that Office parody and how awesome it was. And that was pretty good as well. AB and those guys did a great job acting in that one as well. Kim Fields. We had a whole ensemble that was a part of that group. How was Pittsburgh, Phil?
Awesome.
Did you stay for the Steelers game Sunday?
Beautiful city. Now to get back for the Packers. 1 o'clock kickoff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It is a nice city.
It is.
Coming through that tunnel is pretty cool.
Yep. Two for you. Since you're not required to do the SEC availability, you want to share any injury updates with us?
Not really, but I will for you guys because I like you and the class is here today. Obviously, Brady Hunt won't play. Outside of that, I would say that we're optimistic on everyone else that didn't finish the game. So if we had to put a report out, I'd probably say maybe not probable, doubtful, or questionable, but optimistic on everyone else. Judge Collier should be fine. He practiced today. And the ones that to me would be the most questionable, doubtful, probable, optimistic would be the tight ends, just kind of seeing how they respond outside of Brady. But they were out there today. Just got to see how far they come along between now and Saturday. But everyone else should be good. Jerry Brown's is banged up a little bit, but we'll see how he is as the week goes also.
Okay. And what's your plans for left tackle for the Wofford game?
Josiah's back healthy. He should be good to go. Tree obviously has started a lot of games for us going back to last season and played really, really well Saturday against Missouri. So we feel like we've got two really good left tackles and are good with both those guys regardless of who's out there.
Shane, you made a sizable donation to help the band out with their trip to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yep.
What was important to you to make sure they have a rewarding experience?
Yeah. Also, that was released. I guess so. Yeah. How'd you know that? You just know people? When you've been around Columbia this long, you know things before I do. Yes. No, I did give a contribution to help the band be able to go up to New York City for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. In all seriousness, is that out there? I don't want to spill the beans on anything. Is it out there? All right. So I got you. No, we did. I was I'm so grateful for the band. So grateful for the impact they make on Saturdays in Williams-Brice Stadium. One of the highlights of my year is getting to go talk to them in August when they're here. We're doing preseason camp, and they're here 2 weeks early before school even starts, and they're practicing and getting ready and whatnot as well. So grateful for them. That's the greatest environment in all of college football across the street there, and part of that is the atmosphere and the impact that they make. So I was actually sitting in my office. This was probably the week of the A&M game, maybe, Rick, or Vanderbilt, and it was late on a Tuesday night, and I got a text from Darius Rucker, and Darius said, hey, what do you think about this? The band is trying to get up to New York City. What about if me, you, and Dawn put together we each contribute and help them go. So I don't want to put Dawn on the spot. I think she was in on it as well. Okay. And I said, I think that's great. And he feels about the band like I feel about the band and everyone else here at Carolina. Grateful for them. So Darius texted me that, and it took me about 5 seconds to respond. Heck yeah, just tell me what you need from me, and something that, I love this university and love this community, and be awesome for them to be able to go up to New York City, and appreciate Darius coming up with that idea and being able to do that for them. Thank you, Coach. Yep, you got it. Thank y'all. Thank you, class. Good luck the rest of the semester.